since the escalation of the culture war with the battle for Berkeley and all this stuff, we started seeing these clashes. It has been nonstop that people on the right or anti-establishment press, not even anti-establishment, it was non-establishment press, are threatened with violence and death, don't fight back, and we are now in the second Trump term. He could have done something in the first term.
Yep.
He's not. What are they doing right now? I mean, I like this. At the bare minimum, pointing at him saying, we are watching you. And they have started making arrests. I like that the feds are being deployed. I like the National Guard being deployed. I think they should just go out and say, straight up, this is not a peaceful protest. You will be arrested. We're going to arrest you. We're going to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're under arrest. I mean, people showing up to Portland threatening to kill journalists. It's not a peaceable assembly.
That could have gone sideways really fast for Nick. Yeah. And I think we all know that. And especially in a post-Charlie, same city. And in a post-Charlie Kirk world, we all have to understand that someone like that wearing black in a mask is a violent and potentially lethal threat. Yeah. Period.
Well, you just have to believe in them when they tell you things like these things.
And he's saying, "I'm going to smoke you."
Yeah.
Right? We all know what that. We all know what that means.
Yeah. Either he really likes him, or.
And to Nick, I mean, brother, you can't be going out there by yourself, man. I mean, it looks like he's by himself in this clip. I don't know if he is or not, but
even if you have security is going to tell you, because I've dealt with this problem because I love being out there. I love doing on the street reporting. I can't do it anymore because you become the story. I don't want to become the story. I just want to document the story. Security is going to hold you back and say, no, sorry, you can't go in there. And they won't protect you, and they can't protect you in these type of situations, especially when you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, 6 people, 20 people gather all around you. You're kind of screwed. And I've been in those situations too, where they just kind of surround you and they're like, you're a fascist. In Germany, they were calling me a fascist. And I'm like, I'm the Polish guy, right? All right. And you got Germans calling me a Nazi. And I'm like, get out of here. And then, of course, they pounced on me. And then the cop's like, yeah, sorry, kid, get out of here. We can't help you. And I'm like, really? Like, okay, all right.
5 years ago, nice. They were doing this protest to try to tear down an Abraham Lincoln statue in Washington, D.C. And I went out there, I was with OAN at the time, and I went out there just to cover the event. And the minute they saw me, they're like, oh, Jack Posobiec is here. And then Antifa shows up, which, we weren't really expecting them to be there in the middle of the day like that. But because it was the summer of love, they were obviously way more heightened than usual. And there's that, picture of me and, the Antifa leader that came out that day. But I was instantly surrounded. And the police were on the outskirts of the park. So this was a national park because DC has a lot of federal national parks around, and they couldn't even get to me at that point. And actually, it was Kevin Corke from Fox News had a security detail with him. And even though we're quote unquote competing networks, he had his own security detail. And I had a videographer and another an intern with me. And Kevin Corke was like, no, go help that guy out. So he sent his security detail in to get me out of there.
Have you guys seen this one from the Salt Lake Tribune? Bagley cartoon, politics and religion, the God-fearing right. And it is a ripped dude with camo pants and a black shirt loaded with guns and God we trust and a MAGA hat. The radical violent left is some lanky guy with a guitar that says this machine kills fascists. This is a cult.
Was it?
They're in a cult.
No. Somebody used to have that on their.
Yeah.
It looks like Ian if he had
Bob Dylan or somebody.
Bob Dylan.
Yeah. Or was it? No, that was Arlo Guthrie or something like that.
I don't know. The point is, when have we seen? Honest question. In the past 5 years,
Woody Guthrie was Woody Guthrie.
Was it a
Woody Guthrie?
Chad MAGA guy with a gun who's done anything okay? I see this picture of this guy. What's the intention they're trying to make with this? Because I've seen MAGA dudes at the range. I've not seen churches get shot up or kids be killed. I've seen leftists do all of those things.
So the dynamic that we're dealing with right now is that while the right, on par per capita has more firearms, but the left is the one that's willing to use violence. And the left is the one that's willing to break the law and go out there and climb up on a roof and shoot someone in the neck. And the right is saying, hey, law enforcement, federal, state, local, which by the way, at Utah worked really well. So I don't want to sound like I'm putting down all of them, but it's like we don't want to go to that place. Mm-hmm. Whereas the left is saying, we don't care what the law is, you're a fascist. And by the way, that's what they mean when they say you are a fascist. I'm trying very careful to keep this within YouTube guidelines. But what they're saying is you are next on the list.
Yep.
And that's what that means. That is 100% what that means.
Well, even in the comic, on the left, in God we trust, that's a defensive posture. And even with the guitar, with the messaging on there, it's still an offensive posture.
Yeah, it's still a violent message.
It's still
it
an
is
offensive,
a violent message.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, it's not as a
But you
firearm,
get the propaganda. The propaganda is the God-fearing right are going to kill you because they're crazy guys with guns. But the violent left, it's just some guy who sings. What do you mean? And yeah.
Does he sing Bella Ciao?
Yeah, exactly. And then are they going to lie and claim the Groypers sing Bella Ciao because they think we're morons? But
it was a complete lie. It was a complete lie. Complete lie, baseless lie that the Groypers had anything to do with Charlie Kirk's murder. It was done. And by the way, though, it was done in such a way that Jimmy Kimmel, who came out and spread a version of that lie, that it was the MAGA right who did this. And by the way, that's why I, when I saw Joe Rogan laughing about it and that clip of me kind of blew up, I was like, well, look, I don't think this is a laughing matter, because what you're doing is you're painting a target on the backs of anyone on the right, saying you are the violent ones and the left are not violent. And it has been, this was a disinformation operation, and it was done so acutely that there's probably something like 30% or more, and I think some of the YouGov polls came out on this, that said that the left even think it was a liberal. Or excuse me, 30% of liberals thought that it was a conservative who shot Charlie Kirk.
I agree. What Joe said was, there's complaints about it. But what I was most offended by was when he said that Jimmy Kimmel's joke was funny.
It wasn't funny.
I mean, I am kidding, of course, but like, he said the joke was funny because he mocked Trump for not grieving properly. And my response to that bit was like, when Trump was asked about it and then said, look, we're doing construction or whatever, it's like, oh, did Trump just not hear? That's it.
Yeah, there's so much construction going on at the White House right now because they had to do like drainage on the South Lawn, and you can't hear stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking when my team, we were out in Portland doing just a rally around medical freedom a few years back, right? These were important conversations. Antifa, just like there was nothing that we were doing that was in any way aggressive toward their mission. But there they were banging on everything, like overpowering, making the doctors feel really unsafe for presenting. Del Bigtree and I was speaking out there, and Dr. Henry Ealy just seeking to be a part of a positive change and seeking for medical freedom. And yet it was any conversation, anything that you say, we don't want you to say it. We don't want that discourse. And these were the things that meant that people like Charlie weren't safe in these environments.
Isn't it funny, though, that Antifa is just on the side of whatever big business and the government wants the narrative to be, they will fight for it? So it's like when I see these videos of, there were a bunch of people, that I can't even call them Trump supporters. They're just people protesting mask mandates. Antifa showed up, started beating the crap out of them. And I'm like, hold on. The Antifa people are attacking just random protesters who are outside of a hospital. There's a handful of them. They're not even political. They're not Trump supporters. They weren't. What is going on?
They're so neutral, right? They were just there to speak about medical freedom, which was good for those folks that that were attacking them. That was a great thing for them to stand for.
Wild. Well, let's jump to the story. We got big news from Newsweek. Largest mass resignation in U.S. history as 100,000 federal workers quit.
Got what I voted for award.
Yeah. Do you see the Austin Peterson meme he posted of Donald Duck with the heart on saying, got what I voted for again award? Oh, and he's wearing a MAGA hat.
I want my medals.
Oh, no.
Not enough. I demand more.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Some 100,000 federal workers are set to formally quit the U.S. government in what will constitute the largest mass resignation of government workers in U.S. history. The resignations, which come as part of the program drawn up by President Donald Trump at the start of his second administration, will happen on Tuesday, as Congress is facing a deadline on the same day to authorize more funding or risk government shutdown. If there is no deal, the White House has ordered federal agencies to make plans for the large-scale redundancies. I love this, though. They're like, why it matters. The loss of federal workers will have a huge impact on operations across different parts of government and could disrupt services, including the Department of Veterans Affairs and the Social Security Administration. No, hold on. Why did they bring up those two departments? Because they are attacking boomers intentionally, who they think won't look into this and aren't paying attention. The 100,000 workers will disrupt everything. So why is Newsweek specifically highlighting SSA and the VA? They want boomers who are dependent on these things to be angry at Donald Trump, which explains why, when I think it was Real Clear Politics put out their age support for Trump by age, the only age bracket that was anti-Trump was 70 plus.
Super boomers.
Super boomers. Every other age bracket was pro-Trump except for, I think, 40-year-olds who are neutral. This is why they do it. I don't think it's going to work out for them very well because, and I mean this with all due respect to boomers, I don't want to be crass and crude when I say this, but they're at what's called the mortality shelf, the mortality cliff. Oldest boomers are now 79 years old. That's mortality. So what is being predicted now is within the next 5 years, we'll see something like 40 to 60% of boomers leave, in a manner of speaking, die. So this mainstream media attempt at pandering to the super boomers, as Jack described them, it's not going to play out for much longer. And what we're seeing now with Gen Z, and this does tie back into what we're seeing with the violence in the streets, TPUSA rallying young people, showing them the right path. I think the future of this country is moving in the right direction. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.